Hello, my sweet summer children. I'm back with the juice to get you through the long night. I know y'all were probably like, where the fuck is Gray? Y'all, I got COVID. I got the COVID like Caraxes. But I was going to get this breakdown out regardless, because I got to get some shit off my chest. And since I know it's going to take me so long to edit this and record this because I'm sick, I'm just going to spill. Also, before I jump into this, y'all, I'm not doing a giveaway. These scammers are down bad and spamming my comment sections, trying to pretend they're me, talking about they're doing a giveaway. Don't fall for that shit. It is not me. But anyway, this episode was absolutely insane. It was art. It was living, breathing art. The first thing I want to address before we get into what actually happened in the episode is the 10-year time jump and the critics that are critiquing the way House of the Dragon is handling the timeline. The main complaint that I keep seeing is the story is feeling rushed and they're speeding through all this material and they're cutting a lot of shit. So in my personal opinion, society today will just complain about any damn thing, and I don't really like complaining. There are whole YouTube channels that just complain about shit all day and make money from just complaining about shit. Like, at a certain point, some of this shit I just don't take serious. I know a lot of these critics have degrees in this shit, but also sometimes I feel like they partake in copious amounts of crack, because they said the same thing about The Witcher in season 1, and The Witcher, season 1 of The Witcher was fucking fire. It's like people's brains can only process media if it's linear. Like, there are no other timelines that they can follow unless it's straightforward and linear. Like, they can't process it. Their brain's too small. So when it comes to House of the Dragon, we haven't even gotten to the Dance of Dragons, right? We haven't even gotten to the Dance of Dragons yet, which is the 3-year war story they're actually telling. Season 1 of House of the Dragon is a big, huge prologue. Like, it's all important. They're showing you all of the important things that are happening that is going to lead up into this war, but it's not actually the story. The story is going to be the next 3 seasons, and actually the end of this season. I'm surprised they have given us as much backstory as they have given us. I'm surprised, pleasantly surprised, they have been able to weave so much of the lore leading up into the war in the past 6 episodes. So far, this is the timeline. Episode 2 jumped 6 months in time. Episode 3 jumped 3 years in time. 4 and 5 were small time jumps, a few months, maybe a year. Then episode 6 jumps 10 years. So moving forward, episode 7, there will be no time jump really. And then episode 8, time will jump for the last time, and we will remain on a linear timeline with the same cast for the rest of the seasons of House of the Dragon, which I think it's 4 seasons. So I don't know what's so hard to follow, but whatever. We have not even got to the story yet. Chill, baby. But anyway, so this episode opens up. It's a 10-year time jump. We are in King's Landing, and Rhaenyra is giving birth to her 3rd son, who is named Joffrey Valerian. Look at this art. She looks just like her mother, Aemma. The difference being there are no maesters present for this birth, and really no men in general. As soon as the baby comes out, that bitch from Old Town sends for the baby. Rhaenyra is like, hell no. There is no way I'm giving my baby to anyone else to take him up there. I'm gonna do it myself. She hasn't even got rid of the afterbirth. The afterbirth is still there. The fucking placenta plops out on the floor. They're cutting the umbilical cord, rushing around to go see this bitch from Old Town. Rhaenyra readies herself. Laenor comes in, and poor Rhaenyra too, but Laenor is playing his part. He's so happy to see his new son. He offers to take Joffrey to the queen, but Rhaenyra's like, no, I'll do it. They walk through crowds of people and up the serpentine steps of the Red Keep, and at the door is the most toxic munch, Crispin Cole. Allison is all sweet daughter, you should be in bed. And Rhaenyra's in her mind, she's like, I should be. But I want you to see how strong I am. I want you to see that minutes after giving birth, I ascended those steps to bring my child before you, because I'd be damned if I give you the satisfaction of inspecting my baby outside of my presence. Rhaenyra looks uncomfortable with her even touching her baby. And in comes Viserys talking about my grandson. Oh, you got your father's nose. Yes, King. I know this has, Allison is burning up inside, because the real tea is everybody knows those babies are Harwin's babies. But as long as Laenor is running around talking about my sons, it's nothing Allison can do. It's nothing she can do. And she throws a slight jab at Laenor. Do keep trying, Laenor. You might get one that looks like you. And that's from the books. And everybody loves to talk shit on Rhaenyra's son, right? Like, I'm telling y'all, Twitter is a hot, saucy mess of a place. It's the most chaotic, toxic environment ever. You would think the way these people cat for the greens on Twitter and talk about these innocent children, like, you would think these children were murderers that killed people. And the way I see it, like real talk, the way I see it, if your father wasn't married to your mother when you was born, you shouldn't be talking about who is and who ain't a bastard. Leave Rhaenyra's children's name out your mouth. They're always talking about, oh, these bastards need to be legitimized. These bastards need to be... When bastards are born in Westeros, they are given a common name. In Winterfell, the bastards are named Snow. In the Vale, it's Stone. In the Riverlands, it's Rivers. Rhaenyra's children bear the name of a great house, House Velaryon. And they are loved and supported by their grandfather, the Sea Snake, their father, the Sea Snake's heir. All of their family supports them. There's nothing you can do. You can scream that they're bastards all day, but no one cares. The Greens are the only one who cares, because the Greens want to use those rumors to usurp the throne. Guess who ain't a bastard? Princess of Dragonstone, Rhaenyra Targaryen. That's who ain't a bastard. So why you still trying to take the throne? Anyway, Viserys is aging like cheese, moldy Swiss cheese. His arm is gone. His arm is completely gone. Laenor decided to name the child Joffrey after his slain lover. As they're leaving, you notice this trail of blood behind Rhaenyra. It reminded me of Daenerys' Wake the Dragon dream when she's leaving bloody footprints on the stone trying to get to the red door. Can you believe Allison made her do this? Like, be for real, like, as a woman, like, as a mother. And then she has the nerve to talk about decency. See, this is why I like Olivia Cooke's portrayal of Allison. Like, I know we don't like the Greens over here, like, fuck them all day the long way, but you need a good villain, and Olivia Cooke delivers. Like, that sad Allison from the first 5 episodes, and she's no more. She is gone. She has been burned away, and we're about to see the savagery of the queen, pure fucking savage, who's ready to bathe in the blood of her enemies, all while keeping a smile on her face and saying sweet words. So when Rhaenyra and Laenor get back to their apartments, Harwin Strong is there with Jace and Luke. Jace let Luke pick out a dragon's egg for the baby. First of all, I love kind, polite, and respectful children. But I also want to point out, like, the difference in parenting. Like, Rhaenyra is very nurturing of her children. Allison is mean as fuck to her children, except for Aemon. Aemon is clearly her favorite, just as Rhaenyra is Viserys' favorite. Like, Viserys is basically like, fuck all these other children. Rhaenyra is bae. But anyway, the Velaryon Targaryen strong, dysfunctional family is all together, and now Harwin wants to meet his son. Laenor takes the other boys back to the dragon pit, and Harwin gets some bonding time with his baby. And, like, I love their relationship. I love that they have this dysfunctional family unit. Anyway, the dragon pit scene was one of my favorite scenes. Like, it did so much for the world building. So we've seen we've never had a scene like this in Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon. But Prince Jacaerys is being trained with Vermax, his dragon. So when Jacaerys was a baby, an egg was placed in his cradle, and the hatchling that came out was named Vermax. So the Dragon Keepers are also from Old Valyria. They came to Westeros with the Targaryens many years ago. They are an ancient order. There are also, there are Dragon Keepers in the Dragon Pit, and there are also Dragon Keepers on Dragonstone. So they are teaching Jace how to master his dragon, as Aegon has mastered Sunfire. Because the Dragon Keepers can still command Vermax, they are telling Jace he hasn't mastered him yet. So Aemon doesn't have a dragon, and Aegon Aegon, Jace, and Luke tease him about it. Oh my god, kids gonna be kids. And they give him the pink dread, the pink pig. Aegon is the ringleader, of course, even though he blames everything on Jace and Luke. Yeah. Anyway, Aemon sneaks down into the belly of the pit. Now, there's something interesting going on. The music of dragons. This is either good background music, good ominous background music, or this is indeed the music of dragons, or the song of dragons. Lena tells Viserys in episode 2 that they can hear Vhagar's songs off the ports in Spicetown. But Aemon goes into the pit and ends up seeing the dragon Dreamfire. At least that's what the general consensus is. The general consensus is that this is Dreamfire. So if you don't know, here is a bit of lore. So 3 of Dreamfire's eggs were stolen from Dragonstone by a woman named Alyssa Farman during the reign of the Old King. Those 3 eggs were never found, but those 3 eggs are the eggs that Dany was given in the beginning of Game of Thrones. So in the next scene, we're in the room with Helaena and Alicent. Alicent looks super uninterested. The Olivia Cooke said that Alicent is a terrible mother and that all of her kids are weird. Anyway, Helaena is a precious Targaryen princess that has done nothing wrong. Helaena is a bug girl. I want y'all to pay attention to how Helaena does not want her mother to touch her, and how in previous scenes she always was crying when Alicent was holding her. Also, she's a dragon dreamer or green seer. She's spitting out that prophecy. When Aemon and Alicent are talking about him not having a dragon, Helaena says he'll have to close an eye. That's prophecy. But if you know, you know. So Alicent is talking to the king, going on and on and on about Rhaenyra's babies being bastard, and how she's shocked that their dragon eggs even hatched. Bitch, why are you shocked? Their mother is a dragon rider of Syrax, princess of Dragonstone, and she's 3/4 Targaryen blood. So while Alicent is like going over, like, it's an insult to you, it's an insult to House Targaryen, it's an insult, it's indecency itself. Viserys is like, so there was once this horse, and I hollered. Like, I hollered when he started talking about that horse. Alicent is frustrated. She leaves and she's talking to Crispin, a salty ass Crispin. Like, Crispin is so salty, yo. He hates Rhaenyra so much. It's been 10 years and he still isn't over it. Like, get over it. He even calls her a cunt, a spoiled cunt. Alicent says she has to believe that honor and decency will prevail. She's saying this as she's talking to a knight that soiled his cloak, took the princess's maidenhead, and killed a noble lord at a wedding feast. Yeah, decent. I'm sure he's so fucking decent. Anyway, then we get Aegon. Aegon is jacking off in the window of the Red Keep. Alicent bursts in like she just has no fucking respect for him or his privacy. And she just starts going in on him about teasing his brother Aemon. Alicent is frustrated because Aegon has no problem with Rhaenyra ascending the throne and Jace being her heir. She's like, but your life, she would have to kill you. You are a challenge to her. And he's like, I'm not a challenge. And Alicent is like, yes, you are. You are a challenge. You're just being alive. You're a challenge. But, like, you have no basis for that. Like, you really don't. Like, it's just like she just thinks Rhaenyra is just like this evil queen that's going to kill her brothers when Rhaenyra wouldn't do that. Anyway, Alicent is an ain't shit mother. Olivia Cooke, as I said, has stated that Alicent is a horrible mother. I feel bad for Aegon, actually. Like, dare I say, I actually like Aegon. All of the children I really feel bad for because to me, it's always been the one thing that could have stopped all of this. Like, everybody's like, is there anything that you think could have prevented the dance? And it was the children. The children could have stopped it because if the children grew up together and loved each other, none of this would be a concern. Viserys tried this. Like, Viserys had them go to school together and train together and do shit together and raise them up to be close. But all of that couldn't overcome the hate their mothers had for each other. Then we are in the East and Pentos with my little bow-legged boy Caraxes and Vhagar, the ancient dragon. So Lena and Damon are flying and putting on a show for the Pentoshi. Vhagar is such a huge dragon. She has the turkey neck. She's old as hell, but that's bae. That's bae right there. I literally screamed when I seen Vhagar. And then when Lena was like, Dracarys, I was like, yes! I just lost it. Anyway, Vhagar is an old soul, and she's seen so much through the years. So Lena and Damon are actually travelers. They've been traveling all over, but right now they are in Pentos. Damon and Lena have twin girls, Baela and Rayna. Baela has a dragon named Moondancer. The Pentoshi are trying to strike up an alliance and have the dragons to aid them in future wars. Lena is like, bitch, please. We are the blood of old Valyria. We were made for nobler tasks than guarding your palaces from reavers. Next caller. But Damon says he will entertain it. Damon is with Baela, teaching her Valyrian. But let's talk about this whole thing for a second, because y'all love to talk shit on Damon. Damon's so bad. Yes, water is wet. Water is wet. The fact that he wants to stay in Pentos, away from the war and politics, live in peace with his family and their dragons, read books and chill the fuck out and not worry about who's on the Iron Throne, who he has to kill to further House Targaryen. It sounds about right for Damon, because Damon is not the monster y'all make him out to be. He does not want the throne. If he wanted the throne, he could kill Viserys and take it. He doesn't want it. He wants to chill the fuck out and relax and smoke hookah and read books. We also have Uncle Aemond and Uncle Aegon training in the yard with their nephew, Jason Luke. I don't know why people keep calling them cousins. They're not cousins. They're nephew and uncles. Also, Crispin Cole is a piece of shit. A piece of shit. Crispin thinks that it's okay to half-train Rhaenyra's children and show favoritism to Alicent's children. Only a bad person does shit like that. It's a child. We know their mother broke your little dusty ass heart and bruised your ego, but for you to be a certain way towards her children is absolutely ridiculous and disgusting. If I was Rhaenyra, he would be nowhere near my sons to start with, period, point blank. But Crispin taunted Breakbones on purpose. And I just need a loop of Harwin beating that ass over and over and over and over and over again, because I was screaming. I was like, yes. When Crispin is on the ground, though, he's like, Crispin says, I thought as much. He set Harwin up, like he purposely did that because he wanted a reaction out of Harwin. So more pressure could be applied towards Rhaenyra. Now, one thing I will credit Cersei Lannister for is, even though Jaime was the father of Cersei's children, she never let Jaime around her children. She never let Jaime connect or form any kind of connection with her children, like at all. They had zero kind of relationship, and Jaime didn't give a fuck about Joffrey. Like, Jaime could have seen that shit go down with his kid and just been like, oh well. But Harwin, on the other hand, has been present in the day-to-day of his children, although they don't know he's their dad. Harwin is commander of the City Watch, but he's also Rhaenyra's sworn shield, so she can't really avoid having him around, or she doesn't want to avoid having him around, because she could just name another sworn shield. But having him so involved with his kids is what causes this fight. He's really a proud papa, and he loves his sons, and he's going to defend them. And when he said, say it again, I was like, yes, daddy, say it. Yes, daddy, tell him. Anyway, Harwin is arguing with Lionel because what Rhaenyra and Harwin are doing is treason. It's death for the both of them and the children. Like, the consequences are dire. Lord Lionel Strong is an honest man, a loyal man, honorable like Ned Stark. He's just like Ned, where he can't even bring himself to say the words because they're so bad. Laenor and Rhaenyra have a conversation, and it's an interesting look into their relationship. They are friends. Not just any kind of friends, but the kind of friends who bear each other's darkest secret. I've seen a lot of people downplaying their relationship, like saying they hate each other, but child, they don't. A lot has happened in the last 10 years, and Laenor doesn't want this life. Laenor is kind of like Arya in a sense, where he's kind of forced into a role based on his gender that he doesn't really want to conform to, where he's not able to be his true self, where he runs around the world partying and fighting battles, being the glorious warrior. He's forced to play the High Lord, married to a princess, and he's forced to play the father. That's the great sadness in society like this, like Westeros. These people are forced to be shells of themselves, puppets dancing on their father's strings. And I really feel for both Laenor and Rhaenyra and even Allison, because these characters are forced into these roles that are societal norms, and the societal norms and laws of Westeros fucking suck. And it's kind of like a major theme of House of the Dragon. Who would have thunk it? Anyway, the next scene is of Rayna and Lena. So Rayna carries this dragon egg with her wherever she goes, warms it, sings to it. She's nurturing this egg, trying to get it to hatch. In the book Fire and Blood, Rayna and Baela were both given dragon eggs in their cradles as babies. Both eggs hatched. Baela's dragon Moon Dancer was born, but Rayna's egg hatched a broken, sickly dragon that died the same day. It was Rhaenyra who gave Rayna one of Cyrex's eggs, and she sleeps with it every night and prays over it and sings to it and all that jazz. In the books, Rhaenyra and Lena have a very close relationship. Like, they all are close. They all are very close. This is a loving family. Even though in the show they're showing Damon and Essos, like Laenor is still sending them letters and Damon still laughs about Rhaenyra's sons looking like Harwin. As you see, Lena knows too, and she just laughs about it. But this conversation between Lena and Rayna caused people to be like, Damon's a horrible father because Rayna says her father ignores her. So we haven't seen enough interaction between Damon and his children to say that this is true. And there isn't much on it in the book. There is almost nothing in the book about Damon's relationship with his girls. But, and this is a big but, I will say, we see this same kind of thing with the Ned Stark. Ned Stark has a very much so closer relationship to Arya Stark than he does with Sansa Stark. Not on a favorite kid kind of thing, even though that kind of shit is very real. But Ned just could not relate to Sansa. He couldn't relate to her. And Rayna is closer to her mother because she's more like her mother. She's a true lady. And honey, Baela is just like Damon. She's the girl Damon. Like, that is one thing that is in Fire and Blood, is that Baela is her father's daughter. She's just like Damon. So then we're on the rooftop of the Pentoshi Manse, and Damon and Lena's conversation is important because there is conflict. Damon wants to stay in Pentos, Lena does not. But Lena says something interesting. She talks about Damon reading about the dead dragon lords whose legacy he says has no hold on him. This gave me Rhaegar vibes, which makes me question if Damon found out something similar to what Rhaegar did. It makes me wonder if Damon knows what's coming for Westeros. In King's Landing, it's politics as usual. Rhaenyra has learned her lesson about the Blackwoods and the Brackens. And Lord Beesbury seems to have all the timers, all the time forgetting shit. But it's political talk, and Rhaenyra offers to make peace with Queen Alicent by betrothing her heir, Jace, to Alicent's daughter, Helaena. And Alicent, being the dumb bitch that she is, she doesn't take it. Alicent says Rhaenyra's cornered and she thinks this proposal is bullshit and she won't have her only daughter marrying one of Rhaenyra's plain-featured sons. Well, let it be war then, dumbass. Then, in the king's chambers, they throw a blanket on him. He doesn't want the blanket, but, like, they just do it anyway. And he's just like, whatever. But Lord Lionel comes in, and Alicent was getting wet as Lionel was talking. But when he looked at her, when he looked at Alicent and saw how wet she was getting, he didn't say it. He couldn't say it. Viserys wouldn't let him resign. But Lionel is Lord of Harrenhal, the cursed castle, and he's going to escort his son Harwin there to become Lord and take up his duties. So we also get a scene of Alicent and Larys Strong. And I just want to talk about this entire dynamic real quick. So Alicent is a smart woman. She's not completely oblivious to the words she's speaking and the power those words carry. She literally is crying to Crispin Cole, and then Crispin takes that, her crying, and like, oh, I need to do something. So what does he do? He agitates Harwin enough so that Harwin strikes him, and by Harwin striking Crispin Cole in defense of Jace, that lends some credence to those bastard rumors that Alicent was just complaining about. She also complains to Larys about wanting her father back his hand. Well, you can't have your father back his hand because right now Larys's father is hand, Lionel is hand, but we see what happens later. Also, I would just like to take this opportunity to say that Larys is a piece of shit. And I'm going to talk about him later. But Alicent, let's not talk about decency and act like your hands aren't bloody. You aren't dumb. You said what you said. You knew exactly what you would get from it. You knew what you wanted. What, were you just throwing wishes into the air hoping a genie in a bottle would fulfill them? No, that's what you wanted to happen, and he read the fucking room. So let's talk about Larys for a minute. He's a very interesting character. I never liked him because I don't like characters whose motivations are unclear. I don't like it. Larys is flim-flammy. He's flim-flammy as fuck. Joe Magician, he thinks that Larys is a green seer, like a blood raven type of character who's warging the rats and he's on the side of the children of the forest. While I like his theory, I lean more towards Larys is a bitter man. The black sheep of his family who gets shits and giggles out of making people rise and fall. He has no real loyalty. His loyalty is like Varys, to the realm. Anyway, the symbolism surrounding Lord Larys is a firefly. So there's a firefly on his cane, and there's a firefly pendants on the men whose tongue he removes. Larys had a lot of parallels with Varys. Varys removes the tongues of his little birds. So instead of little birds, Larys has fireflies. So I was like, fireflies? What's the significance? I did some Googling because, honey, I don't know about lightning bugs like that. And there was a bunch of different articles. Some on the firefly symbolism to like illumination and knowledge above all else. Others were more darker. So apparently there's this old superstition that if a firefly shows up in your house, someone is about to die. The next scene we get is of Lena giving birth, and she's having complications. Damon is faced with the same decision that Varys was faced with in episode 1. A decision he refuses to make. Lena overhears this and gets up. Damon could have never made the decision. Damon is often painted as like this awful human because he does awful things. But in reality, bad people can do good things and good people can do bad things. Damon is the latter. His first concern is his wife. He asks, will the mother survive? What did Viserys ask when they told him about Aemma? Anyway, Lena gets up and goes to Vhagar. And I cried so damn hard. Like, I really could not. I cried so hard. And let me explain this scene because it was so good. A dragon rider and a dragon have a bond that is unexplainable. It's almost a connection on another plane, in another realm. It's a connection like no other. They feel your emotions, your pain, your joy, everything. They feel it. And we get examples of this with Dany and Drogon in the main series. But most recently, House of the Dragon has showed us the evidence of this with Caraxes and Daemon, where Caraxes just pops up on Sir Otto at Dragonstone, or when Daemon takes the arrow in the arm and Caraxes screams. The dragon and the dragon rider are one, but a dragon is not a slave. They have their own thoughts and emotions as well. Lena commands Vhagar to burn her, and Vhagar refuses. She doesn't want to. Lena has this moment where she truly understands Vhagar doesn't want to let her go. The dragon rider does not just choose the dragon. The dragon chooses the rider as well. Vhagar was lonely and lost before she and Lena found each other. Vhagar's siblings are all dead. She's part of the original three-headed dragon. Balerion is dead. Aegon is dead. Rhaenys and Meraxes are dead. Visenya, Vhagar's first rider, is dead. Baelor, Vhagar's previous rider before Lena, dead. And he had been dead for years. And Vhagar had been lonely, singing her sad song on the banks of the narrow sea until the sweet, fearless Lena Velaryon found her and they claimed each other. Vhagar does not want to do it. And as we see, she doesn't have to follow the command. But she does eventually because she feels the pain that Lena is in. She feels the emotion. It's so sad, but it's the death that Lena wanted. I just want to hug Vhagar. I just want to hug her. I like this version way better than what's in Fire and Blood because in the books, Lena collapses trying to get to Vhagar. So I really like that she made it to Vhagar in this versions of event and went out so badass. And y'all was like, Damon, father, bad, because he doesn't comfort his children. Well, he did. They actually removed the scene where he did. It was cut for some reason. Anyway, then we go to King's Landing. Harwin is leaving for Harrenhal. This is another emotional scene, not as emotional, of course, but the dynamics of it are crazy. Because Rhaenyra can't show any emotion. She can't even hug Harwin bye because she doesn't want her children to suspect anything. She loves Harwin and he loves her, but their life paths just don't align. It's devastating, honestly. But the most sad part about this scene was Jace. Jace asked, "Is he my father?" Am I a bastard? And to that, Rhaenyra says, you are a Targaryen. That's all that matters. And that's what I've been saying this whole time. All this talk of bastard this and bastard that, it doesn't matter. They aren't some man's kids that are coming to try to usurp the throne. They are true blood of the dragon through their mother. Through their mother, the rightful heir. Jace is his mother's true-born son. An heir, no matter how the Greens spin it. That's just what it is. So Rhaenyra meets Laenor in the yard, and she's like, okay, pack up your boyfriend, we're going to Dragonstone. It seems Rhaenyra has taken Laenor's advice and is fleeing the storm. Truth of it is, Rhaenyra sees that no matter what, Alicent will stop at nothing to see her son on the Iron Throne, and that would mean killing Rhaenyra and her children. So she takes them to Dragonstone, where they will be safe, but also where she can plot her own Game of Thrones. She will have spies in King's Landing, for sure. Harrenhal is cursed. I have a whole video on the curse of Harrenhal. I'll link it below. Don't watch it with the lights out, boo. But Harren and Lionel arrive at Harrenhal, and there's a fire. They are both killed, which makes Larys now Lord of Harrenhal, which means he's cursed as well. But why would Larys kill his brother and father? The queen makes her wish. What servant of the realm will not try to fulfill it? Alicent acts like she didn't ask for this, but she did. That's the thing. This is a deadly game, and you know exactly what game you're playing, which is why Larys reminds her that he's sure she will reward him. If she was so appalled that he killed his father and brother on her behalf, why didn't she have him jailed for it and put to the sword? Why didn't she have Crispin Cole jailed for taking Rhaenyra's maidenhood? Because in her eyes, the ends justify the means, and she knows it. But her decency won't let her say it. You're playing the Game of Thrones, my dear. Your hands will need to be covered in blood to win it. There is also a very interesting scene of Viserys kissing Aemma's ring. He has and will never recover from the death of Aemma Targaryen. His grief is literally eating him alive. And I honestly think, I just want to say that Rhaenyra is Viserys' favorite child, and I feel like Viserys wants to do right by Rhaenyra on behalf of Aemma. He swore to Rhaenyra on her mother that he would never forsake her as heir, and he's holding to it. This episode was completely insane, which episode 7 is likely going to be even more insane. I'll be breaking down the preview with the book spoilers, but what do you think? As always, thanks for watching, and thanks to everyone that supports me on Patreon. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please click that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and join the sweet summer family. Okay, my sweet summer children, have a good day.